everybody. Hi, everyone. It's Wednesday, and that can only mean one thing. The breakdown is happening. Yay! This is where the applause should come in, but someone's always late. And then the wrong sound effects happen. But thank you. I am your host, Catherine, aka the High Heel Gamer, and today we're breaking down ninjas and robots. Because I have the one, the only, I know, Erik Klaus. How you doing, Erik?
I'm doing very good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm super excited to have you on. I know we've met at conventions before, and I'm very shy and timid, and Zach does most of the talking. But I've been wanting to interview you for a while now. I just never built up the courage to. So I'm really excited that you're on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
To talk about your comic. Yeah. So you're in stores now. How excited are you?
So excited. It's super cool. It's everywhere, not just, here in North Carolina or in the United States. It's in the whole world. So that's pretty exciting. Yeah.
Now, were you having plans to do this before COVID struck?
Yes. So the comic series, I actually signed with Keen Spot in December of last year, and it was supposed to launch in April, right before New Comic Book Day. And because of COVID, everything got pushed back for everybody. But it's taken a really long time for it to kind of. It hasn't really, but it feels like it's taken a really long time for it to come about and actually launch. So last month, on the 15th was it the 15th, 19th was the first. Yeah, it's all my days are running together. Was the actual launch. So that's pretty exciting. Yeah, the 19th. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I always check you. I don't know if you see my name pop up on the likes and stuff like that. I don't really chat too much, but I'm always trying to support with likes and shares when I can. And it was a wonderful surprise to see that announcement and then see your book on the shelf. I'm like, oh my God, that's super cool. So I know you were over the moon about it.
Well, until you actually see it, like it doesn't feel real, So it's pretty crazy. Sorry, people are texting me.
It's always the case.
I know, right? Nobody bothers you at all until you start doing this, and they're like, "Oh, hey, what are you doing?"
Yeah, I literally got a text message. Yeah, I literally got a text message 2 minutes into the show, and I'm like, I'm doing what I'm doing every Wednesday. It's like nothing.
Just go to Facebook, guys. You'll see it. Like, stop playing around. But yeah, I mean, it really doesn't feel real until you see it. And so and it got pushed back a couple times. So they were like, it's coming out this time, and then it was this time, and then it's like, no, it's not. Like, you don't believe them anymore. It's like, whatever. But once it actually hits the stores, then you're like, all right, this is pretty cool. So yeah, it is super exciting. It's surreal.
Yeah. So I have the graphic novel, and then I have comics 1 and 2 of Wonar.
Wonar.
I'm terrible.
It's okay, me too.
I'm sorry. But so tell us a little bit about ninjas and robots for those that don't know.
Okay, so Ninjas and Robots is essentially my dream child. It's kind of what I always wanted to do with anything, whether it be film or animation or comics. And it just so happens that comics was the easiest medium for me to do myself. So I wrote and drew this story with these characters that I made up and kind of developed it while I was at school. I went to the Kubert School of Cartoon and Graphic Art in New Jersey from 2013 to 2016. So I kind of worked on it. I had the idea before I went, and I went specifically to kind of develop this story, to develop these characters. And that was kind of in the back of my mind the whole time. And then as it progressed, and when I graduated, I did a Kickstarter just to kind of do something and put something out there, because Marvel and DC were not trying to hire me at all. And I was like, you know what,
Oh,
I'm gonna
wow.
make, well, of course, but I'm gonna do comics anyway. You don't have to wait for someone to tell you it's okay to follow your dreams. You got to do it. So I actually did a Kickstarter. Initially, I applied for a grant. Like I did a 10-page comic, and my local arts council was doing a project grant in 2017. So I applied for that and I got it.
Oh,
And then,
wow.
but then I was locked into doing 500 graphic novels. And
Oh,
I was like, all right, well, this is kind of expensive and I have to do 500 per the grant. So I
God.
did a Kickstarter so that I could do it in color, because I felt like it needed to be in color. And so I did that. And then that was kind of, Wonar was a continuation of that. And that was kind of what I pitched to Keenspot, the original graphic novel. And they were like, okay, cool. We like this. We like this story. Let's go with that. So the Keenspot stuff is all brand new. Like it's kind of reinventing and reimagining where I started like 3 years ago with this
Mhm.
comic. And it's just been, I've been able to go back and do things that I wasn't able to do then with the writing and with the art, and kind of take it to the next level and fill in some of the blanks and add all these cool extras. So we're kind of beginning with that graphic novel, but it's not the same thing. Like you should definitely take them and put them side by side, and then you can really see
Gotcha.
how it's different. Um, and as the issues progress, of course, the story is going to get more and more different. It's going to keep going. It's a series, and I actually signed a 4-year contract. So
Wow.
yeah, so
That's
so we're going to be
exciting.
telling stories for a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't. Well, I'm excited, but Zach is even more excited because Zach is like all about this. He is like your number one fan outside of your family members.
He's super cool. Zach is super, super cool, and he's been
He's
very, very supportive.
he has, and I mean, I know he's my husband or whatever, but you should take that and appreciate it because he's picky. He's
Yeah,
very, very picky. So the fact that he's gravitated towards this is
it's a
good.
huge compliment. Okay.
Yeah, and I know it's cheesy because it's just Zach, but he's picky. Now I know you said you went to school, and I actually have a question about your art style.
Sure.
Did you have any pushback because your art style is very different? And I know sometimes when you go to art school, I've heard from other artists that have gone to art school, they tend to want you to be very by the book type of thing. Did you have any pushback when it came to your art style?
I had so much pushback. Like I really, really did. The Kubert School is a like the founders and heads of that school are very DC comics, very Marvel comics, kind of that look and that feel. And a lot of the instructors are working or have been working professionals, and a lot of them worked for DC or Marvel. And so when I came in, it was kind of like, don't do that. And I got that a lot. And it was different, and I noticed right away that what I was doing was different from everyone else, because we would do a weekly assignment and then we would
Mm.
put it up on the board, and everyone would like kind of critique these pages. And it's not that people didn't like mine, but it was that it was always the most different. And like, but that's just kind of what I do and some of my influences and stuff. And so it was weird, but I did get a lot of kind of don't do that and do this more Marvel or DC. And I think by the time I actually got to third year, they kind of gave up on that, and they were like, you know what? There's not really any change in you. Just do you, man. And I was like, okay. And I got really excited about that. But yeah, it was a struggle. It's definitely a struggle when you're different, but it's also a strength, because then you kind of don't blend in. And as you know, at Comic Cons with all these banners and everything everywhere, everything kind of starts looking the same, and it all looks
Blurring
really
together.
good. Yeah,
Yeah, but it does blur kind of together.
it does. And so I definitely wanted to kind of create my own brand with just what I do and be authentic and kind of true to me and not really try to copy anyone else, but
Yeah.
just see what I could do. And that's kind of been my journey. So,
Well, I bring that up because we have a lot of younger viewers that tend to, look to you guys that have made it, and they might not be drawing by the book. They might be drawing like Erik Klaus. What do you say to that person that's being, told, hey, don't draw like this? What would you say to your younger self that kept hearing, no, don't do it like that?
I mean, obviously, you need to. I think one of the important things in school, and even though school was really hard, they kind of, I unlearned a lot of the things that I had learned that weren't correct. You know what I mean? Like you just, your style or whatever, a lot of times is just kind of habitual. It's like what you've done 1,000 times, so that's just how you do it. And you're not looking at anything, you're not referencing anything, you're just drawing from your own imagination, but you do it again and again and again, so it's muscle memory, it gets ingrained. So what they kind of did was kind of like, no, don't do that. And it sounds terrible to say, but a lot of my stuff was really weird and wonky, and I don't know why. It's just what I always did. And so they were like, all right, try to do it, this way, this correct way. These are anatomy classes. This is a real human female figure in the nude. Draw that exactly how you see it, and here are all the muscles and here are all the bones, and this is why it looks, and that kind of thing. But by the time I got to third year, they were like, all right, now everything that you've learned, now push it, now bend it, now take it further. And so that's kind of, my style is exaggerated, but it's a lot more correct than it was before, because I've actually learned about anatomy and I actually know bones and muscles now, and it's
so
it's different.
Not too terrible to get the pushback because you learn from it, but you still have to kind of be true to yourself, wouldn't you say?
Okay. I would say, yeah, definitely be true to yourself. Don't just copy other people. You want your voice to be authentic, and people will 100% resonate with that. But yeah, you kind of, I mean, you need to explore, you need to push stuff for sure.
So the story behind Ninjas and Robots, so I've read it and I reread it just to refresh my memory, but it's not set in a particular world, is it? Help me remember that.
Well, it's not. So, okay, so it could be anywhere, and I kind of left it vague on purpose. I didn't want to say a specific place at a specific time, because then your mind kicks in whether you want it to or not, and you're like, this is correct or this is not correct. And so I didn't want that to be the focus of the story. So that original graphic novel was just meant to be an introduction to the characters. Mm-hmm. So these are the characters, and this is kind of what the world is starting to feel like. And once you get to the Wonar stuff, which is just further on, then it's like they go back to their home, and then you get kind of a feel of what their world is and kind of what it's all about. But even in that, like not too, it's gonna take me 4 years at least to tell this whole story and show all these characters, because there's so much stuff. There's a lot of stuff.
There is a lot of stuff. I like the balance between males and females. Some might not necessarily be gender specific. Was that in the forefront of your mind, like I want it to be this way, or was it just a happy coincidence that it worked out that way? Yeah.
Honestly, like I wanted the hero to be a girl. Like I wanted that. For me, my biggest role model, my biggest hero in my life is my wife. She's kind of enabled and encouraged me to kind of follow this dream. And she is like one of the strongest people that I know. And I'm sure this isn't where this was supposed to go.
Oh, no.
But honestly and truly, like I pulled like that strength, that badassness, that power that she has just inside is something that I've always been super attracted to. Like it's super sexy to be super strong. And so I wanted my hero to be that. You know what I mean? And so I think that, girls can kind of say, okay, yeah, this is cool, and guys can of course say, okay, this is cool. But it's interesting because Yuki, the female, is the hero, and then Kai, the one of the main guys, is really just kind of like her supporter. Like that's
Hmm.
his job and that's his role, and he is like good at that and totally okay with that, and I think that that's, that's important, like that we have this kind of balance in life, and it's not, guys versus girls or whatever, but
Hmm.
we kind of work together to achieve this whatever thing, and we have different strengths and weaknesses and stuff. So that was kind of it was intentional, and I knew, and I for sure knew that if I was going to draw a character, thousands of times, that I wanted it to be a girl. Boys are boring. I don't want to sit and draw them again and again. So I knew that, but I definitely, there's definitely something there with her, and I just wanted to tell this particular story about her. And yeah, there are guys and stuff, and girls and animals and all
Yeah,
kinds of weird
I
stuff.
just like the way that they harmonize with one another. I think it's pretty good to see them each interact with one another. This, I'm not gonna lie to you, this is like one of my all-time favorite comics cover.
Yeah.
I love this cover so much because I don't, I think it's the blue standing out from the red that, and then of course the character herself. It's just, I love her so much. But I like the
So,
harmony between the team.
well, let's talk about that cover because that's a
Okay,
beautiful cover.
yes, it is.
So, Pio Tico, right, is my homie from Japan, and we met online, and he like has done like stuff for me, and I've done fan art for him, and he's one of the coolest like indie creators there, and we're pen pals, right? So we
Oh,
write back and forth because I'm like his English practice, so he can like practice his English on me and stuff, and I send him the stuff I'm working on. And he sends me the stuff that he's working on, and I've actually done some English translation for some of his comics, which I sell in my online shop. But it's just
oh,
been this super cool collaboration, and he did that cover for me, and it's like one of the coolest. Yeah, it's one of the coolest things ever. And when he sent it to me, like it like blew my mind because each character, the robots are one layer, the
yeah.
Shosuke, the guy with the white hair is a layer, the girl is a layer, Yuki's a layer. And so I actually could move it around and do stuff and change. Like it was just amazing.
Oh,
But it
that's
was like,
dope.
yeah, and it was like this window into how he works, and makes comics, which I just soak up and learn from. But he's amazing. He's a monster. I love
That's
that guy.
awesome. I
Yeah.
will be heading to your shop to check him out too. If
Yeah,
you
check him
highly
out.
recommend him, I will check
He's
him out.
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually have some of his books. But he's got a super, super, super cool style.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I don't know. Like he makes his own characters, writes his own stories and stuff.
Wow.
Which is kind of what I do. But
Mhm.
he's been very inspired by American comics, just as I've been very inspired by Japanese comics, and so it's just been this really cool, like just making a friend and just hanging out. Like it's
Yeah.
been super cool. But
It's
yeah,
always good to network like that, especially when it's somebody that likes the same thing you like, but with a different style.
yeah.
How important do you think networking in this industry is?
Networking is super important. Honestly and truly, it's not about, and it might be a bummer, but it's not about how good you are. It's not. It's about who you know. Like, and that's just the way that it works. In school, they told us, as long as you can meet your deadlines, as long as you're not a jerk, not a dick, whatever, and you're cool to hang out with, and you know the right people, you're gonna work. Like they're gonna,
Mhm.
because people are gonna want to work with their friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're gonna want to work with people that they know will get it done when they need it done, and they're cool to work with. They're gonna be like, yeah, 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 you come on, you come work with me. And a lot of times it's not a talent thing. It's not a, this is my skill level,
Yeah.
because you can learn comics, you can learn how to draw, you can learn how to tell stories. People can't really teach you how to tell stories, but you can learn it. Like if you pay
Okay.
attention, and so I don't know. Yeah, it's definitely all about networking. Like a lot of it is. Um,
So when it came to ninjas and robots, what came first? Did the story come first, or did the artwork come first? And you was like, you know what, this was she like a doodle, and you was like, oh my god, I kind of drew my wife's essence
there you
while
go.
doodling,
Yeah.
and then you created this story. I'm interested in knowing which came first, the chicken or the egg.
It's always a little bit different. More times than not, I'll just draw, and it's kind of like a Zen thing where I'm just like drawing, and it's like whatever I want. And I usually think up a story while I'm drawing or after it's been drawn, typically. So I have sketchbooks that are like, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages, like full of just sketches and doodles. And this particular character went through many, 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 many evolutions. She's still kind of evolving as I still learn more about drawing and about anatomy and about action and about all these things. But the original drawings were very clearly my wife with purple hair. They were very clearly her, and it just kind of evolved. I mean, she got a little taller and more muscular and all that kind of stuff. Because I felt like if she was gonna beat up everybody, she needed to be strong looking. I just felt like that was a thing. But
I saw that character and I was like, okay, time to do some crunches because
yeah, well,
I need to look like her.
me too. It's very inspiring. I'm like, man, I need to roll out of bed and do push-ups. Like, ready.
No. Oh, Zach's over here. He wants to say hi real quick because he's fangirling and he's like,
Hi, Zach.
I
How you
told him
doing,
yours.
man?
He said, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm good.
I told you, number one fan. He's never come in here and he's like, Erik's gonna be on. I'm there. I'm like there, like number one fan.
I appreciate that. That's awesome.
Yeah, never has shown up ever for anything. And Zach's like, oh, Erik, what time? Gotcha. I'll be there. I'll be right there. So he's been waiting patiently to say hi.
That's cool.
And now I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, conventions.
Yeah.
So we met at a convention. I want to say NC Comic Con. I don't remember at this point because I've seen you in almost every convention I go to.
Yeah.
What made you decide to hit up the convention scene?
The convention scene for me really started while I was in school. One of my buddies in school really encouraged me to kind of get out there to local shops, to conventions, just to kind of do it. And in the beginning, it's just kind of learning how to talk to people and how to draw in front of people and just kind of hanging out. But I think that's necessary. And a lot of the networking that you were talking about happens at conventions, at comic book shops. And after that, like after I graduated school, it was such an amazing thing. And my wife had never been to a there she is. She had never been to a convention, so I was like, and it's hard. So okay, so she was here in North Carolina, and I was in New Jersey. I was doing school, and so yeah, man. So she's like, she's very supportive, but I think it's hard to imagine this world that we're in until you see it for yourself. Yeah. It's hard to believe that comics is a viable source of income, that can be your job or your career until you go to a convention, and then it kind of changes. So I wanted her to go and experience that and see that this was like a for real thing, that we could make this a thing and this could succeed. Like I wanted her to feel the energy and see all the fans. And so I took her to the first couple cons or whatever. And she ended up, she's done like every one with me since I graduated school. And we've done way over 30. Like, I don't even know. Like of course we were lined up for a whole bunch of really great ones this year too.
Yeah.
And she was excited about those, but it's like, there's the next year and stuff. But I think that was just important for her to realize that this is kind of what it is, and that a lot of people really accept it. Not only that, they're really excited about it. So it was cool.
Yeah, you hit a good point. Like a lot of times, people, artists, writers, cosplayers, they all say this is what I want to do, and I go to conventions, and you get either two sides of it. It's like everybody's a freak and a weirdo, which technically to some degree I am.
Yeah. Sure.
Or it's like nobody's really buying into this until they go and they see it. What was that like when you went to, let's say, your 4th convention and you had the repeat person going, what do you have new? How did that make you feel?
It's always been amazing. Like, I think the banners have always been like a striking point. Like, people would always walk by and say, you know, oh, what is ninjas and robots, or ninjas and robots? Those are my favorite things. But, you know, they would keep walking, you know? And so there's always the like conversation. They're always looking at the art style. They're always curious. But a lot of people that go to cons, just like us that love them, are introverted. So they're a little more shy about coming to your table, about talking to you. Like, they think you're going to be mean or a monster or whatever. But when they actually do come and actually take a book and actually read it, and then either like email or see you at the next show and tell you what they actually thought about it, it's like, it's the coolest thing ever. It's like, oh, you read it? Like, really? And you liked it? All right, cool. And yeah, of course, like, them coming for the next thing is the hugest compliment ever. Like, they found something of value, and they remember. And I know you've been to enough cons that, you know, the cons are kind of like the lost woods. You know, you go in there and it's like you pass the table and you're like, hey, I'm coming back, but you're never coming back.
No,
because you get lost in all that stuff. Like, you just, you're not coming back. And so it's really cool when they do, and they make a point to do it, and they get something new or just want to talk about whatever. It's really cool. Super cool.
Yeah, no, it is a true statement. And I have been guilty of it where I'm like, oh, I'm coming back. But then I either get lost or I stay, and because I found someone and we end up talking in the convention. Next thing I know, the convention's done. It's definitely that, but we've gotten into routine now where we look at the list and there's, you know, people that we definitely know we want to hit, and you're absolutely on our list. I know I don't show it when I'm there because I'm usually like 3 anxiety pills in and a shot of vodka in, and I'm like, I don't know how to talk to people. Like, I know it's the weirdest thing because of the profession I'm in, but I never know how to talk to people. So you feel like conventions helped you talk to people, or is that still something that were you ever good at talking to people before convention?
Okay, so I think that I'm okay at talking to people. I don't like to talk to people, at least not new people. It's not that I don't like to talk to people. I'm not antisocial. It's just
helping the other introverts feel a little better about themselves.
It's really hard. Like, public speaking is hard. Like, any kind of public demonstration is hard. You know, not only are you on display, but now my art is on display, and it's a very, very personal thing. I think going to the Kubert School kind of helped that, like putting it up and letting people critique it and talk crap about it or whatever, or good stuff about it. Like, it kind of helps. And I think when you go and you start drawing in front of people, that's a whole nother level. Because then you got to like perform and or talk. And I usually try to get my wife to talk so I can just draw. But, you know, sometimes I have to talk too. But yeah, it's hard. And like, you know, I'll go to other people's tables, and sometimes it's hard to talk to them. It's not because I don't want to, but it's just, you know, it's social stuff is challenging. Like, it really is.
So I know out of experience, because you did a nice on the spot artwork for us, and I don't think I'll ever forget that from for a while. And this has been already like a few years. I want to say a couple years. You started it and you tried to talk, and you was like, "Look, man, I'm really sorry, and I'm totally into what you're saying, but I want to do this for you, and I can't talk and do this." And I kind of giggled, and Zach was like, "Oh yeah, totally, I'll get it. I'll ask my question afterwards." And when you were done, you was like, "Man, I hope I wasn't rude, but it's just I can't do both." And Zach was like, nah, man, I totally get it. And then he threw me under the bus because he was like, because when I'm doing art and my wife starts talking to me, like I can't focus and one is gonna have to go. And then he looks at me and I'm like, I'm the one that has to go. Like I get that. So we when you said that, it's totally understandable. So people should be aware that when you go up to an artist booth and they do a specific drawing for you and they don't talk to you, don't be offended. It's just sometimes.
No, yeah, I just cannot multitask. That's all that it is. And so I'm like, babe, if you can please talk, then I can just draw. Otherwise, I mean, I'm happy to talk.
Yeah.
I feel like because I'm introverted, it takes a lot more energy and effort, but it's possible. But like if I talk, then this is what I'm gonna be doing with my hands, and then I'm not gonna be drawing. So it's like, which would you rather have? Like, I'm good either way, but let me know.
But I think you want this drawing just a little more.
Yeah, probably.
And you actually were kind enough to do it in both. Like there's a specific character in this one as well, and he was. Yeah, you were very kind enough to do it with both, and we definitely appreciate it because we understand that time is money, and especially especially when you're at a con. And I always feel bad about this. So my husband asks questions, I ask questions. We want to get to know the artist, but you have other people looking at your booth. I'm always scared that because of my question, you might miss a sale. For the con goers, is there any advice that you might give? Like I always shut up and I'm like, oh no, let this person go, because I'm always fearful of you guys missing out a sale because of my question. Is there anything that you can say to con goers to be like, dude, they're gonna buy it or not, like type of thing?
Well, okay, so here's the thing, and as a person that's done 30-something cons, which isn't a huge amount, I will tell you that the people coming to your table is such a treat. Like it's so cool when they want to talk, when you have shared interests, and when you can connect. When they're interested in whatever you're doing and they want to talk about it, that's great. If you have 5,000 questions, maybe now's not the best time for all of them. Like maybe just your top 5 or something, which I don't think you guys have ever. No, I'm not saying that at all. But the other thing is that if an artist is going to give you their time, if they want to answer your questions, if they want to review your portfolio, if they want to talk to you about the business or the craft or whatever, then please support them. And not just me, just people in general, because, they're trying to make sales. But when you buy books, like I want to give you something. I'll give you a conversation if you want one. Yeah. I will give you a drawing if you want one. I like to do something for people that are there supporting us, because that's part of the energy and that's part of the joy of actually going, is being able to connect with those people and talk to those people. And you look forward to that. Like we have missed the people, like not the cons themselves, the buildings with the drippy water and the cold AC and all that stuff. Yes. But the people, So.
And Zach and I are different breeds, so I knew you were talking about others, because Zach and I, we ask our questions and we want to know stuff, but we also are aware of our surroundings. And like I said, I always like, no, go help this person first, because you know what I mean?
I don't remember you ever talking to me like.
No, I don't talk to you because I'm always so shy. I'm always like.
I'm not mean. It's okay.
No, you're not. And you know what it all boils down to? It all boils down to, if I'm like super interested in the material, I send Zach in and I'm like, Zach, ask these questions because I want to know. And it's like, thanks for making me your guinea pig. And then it ends up that Zach actually like super loved this. And I was like, but I need you to ask. He's like, shut up. I'm going to ask my own questions from now. And I'm like, dang it. So I usually end up on the sidelines. And I know Jack can tell you, like, if I'm not, I have to be interested and I have to like it. And if I do, when I'm at a convention, because there's so many people, and like I said, I have anxiety pills in my wallet, I usually, freeze up and stuff like that. But I don't want someone who might have the same condition as I do, with high anxiety and is introverted with extroverted experiences, to miss out.
That's what you're trying to say. You cannot fake it.
I cannot fake interest. So if I'm shy and reserved, it's because I want Zach to go in there and test the waters for me. Because damned if somebody's gonna say something terrible to me, because two things are gonna happen. I'm gonna cry because I'm pumped up with anxiety pills, or I'm gonna punch somebody and end up in jail because I'm pumped up with anxiety pills. So it's that, for me, it's that saying, introverts unite, but in your own house. You know what I mean? But you're at a convention and you want to talk to these people and you want to get to know these people. And, it's like you said, for you, it's different because you're putting your work, your life, your baby out there for display for people to criticize, whether it's good or bad. What would you say to that person that's trying it for the first time and then they hear somebody go, what are you doing? Because I'm sure, because of your unique style, and I would hate it being more than one person, I'm sure you've had people go like, why do you draw like this? What do you say to that person that's doing their con for the first time, has a unique story, unique art style, and they hear, why are you drawing like this?
So art is very subjective. Like, some people like it and some people don't, and there's something for everybody. I would say do what you like and just do it, and you will eventually find your audience that it's going to resonate with. You will find the people, or they will find you rather, if you just are consistent and keep doing it. And I think that if you genuinely love what you do, if you have fun doing whatever that thing is, I think that it makes it that much better. And I think people can really see that and appreciate that. But it was the same at school too. Even with, because we had 10 classes, right, per semester. And so even with 10 different instructors, if I took the same homework to all 10 of those different instructors, they would all tell me 10 different things. So at some point, you have to be able to look at your work and discern if something is not right, or if it's good or not good, or whatever. You have to kind of become your own critic and your own judge to kind of.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at this art thing and it made me giggle because when I first read it and I saw that and I was like, that's so funny, like the little flick.
I'm glad you appreciate that.
Yeah, I 100%.
Oops, wrong button.
That little flick. I thought it was hilarious. Yeah, so sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you didn't at all. You're
good. So we're unfortunately nearing the end of our wonderful conversation. I could talk to you for hours. Quick, where outside of comic book stores worldwide, which I'm excited for you about, where else can they find robots and ninjas and robots?
Ninjas and Robots is online. It's in comic book shops everywhere. So you can go to your local comic book shop and say, hey, I need ninjas and robots in my life. Or you can go to the keenspotshop.com, Keenspot Shop, and they're my publisher, and they have the first issue available, and they have pre-orders for the second one.
Okay.
And every 2 months, one is coming out. So one came out in August, and then October, and then December, and then February, and then they're talking about making it a monthly series. So then it'll be every month after that at this point. So.
Nice. That's exciting.
It's coming, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like super excited for you. Like, I really am. It's always, I know it's weird because I don't really like talk to you, but I do like your stuff. I do follow you. I do keep up. And that's why when I saw the in the stores thing, I'm like, oh shit, he's in the stars. Yeah. Like, it's weird. I always cheer people on that I know. I'm like, yes, we're in the stars. We did it.
Well, that's the dream, is to like walk in the comic book store and see your stuff on the shelf. And anytime I see anybody that I know like on the shelf, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Like, it's huge. It's huge.
Eric's worldwide. Yeah. It is exciting because I know that that's the end goal, to have like your physical copy, something that you can actually hold and sign and have people, hug and cheer and then be in the stores. I know that's such a great accomplishment. And even if for those out there that can't, like, right now get it physically and in the store, do what you love, do what's in your talent wheel, you know what I mean? Don't give up that dream. It's tough, because sometimes my dramatic
Getting so dramatic. I had to. Are you kidding?
I'm a firm believer of paying it forward, and I know somebody is watching this right now going, man, I wish I was like Erik, and I wish I was in the stores, and I wish I had physical copies. But it's not like you woke up and it was poof there. You worked for it, you worked hard for it, and you did a lot of stuff. 30 conventions, you say, doesn't sound a lot, but 30 conventions is tiring.
It is, but it just takes so much time. So if you want to do something, whatever it is, just do that thing. You know what I mean? And I think that a lot of people make excuses. They're like, oh, well, I'm waiting for my art to be perfect, or the story to be perfect, or for all this stuff to come together, or for someone to come to me and say, yeah, come on, let's do this thing. But nobody's coming to your door, man. I hate to tell you. Like, just sit down and do it and be persistent with it, and eventually it'll go somewhere. Like, you'll get better and it will go somewhere. I've been trying pretty actively to draw comics for nearly 10 years. Like, this is not new. After not being able to really break into things, I was like, all right, well, what can I do? So I went to school. And then still not able to break into things, I was like, okay, well, what can I do? I'm just going to do it anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of, you got to, like, be tenacious. You got to not give up. And you can do absolutely anything you want to do. You really can.
Yeah. And it's kind of one of those rolling with the punches. Like, okay, so DC and Marvel didn't want to hire me. What do I have to do? Okay, I did school and this is what I want to do now. What do I have to do to get there? It's always good to have that goal and then the steps that lead to that goal. Well, at least that's how I see it.
Yeah.
I feel like, you knew, okay, this is what I've been dealt with. This is how I'm going to fix that situation to get to my goals. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, I mean, whatever it is you want to do. So if you want to be a musician, if you want your band to get out there and make a demo tape. For me, when I was at Comic-Cons in school, meeting artists and talking to people, they told me the best business card I would ever make is to make a comic book. So that's what I set out to do when I graduated. I was like, no one's giving me a job. I'm going to make my own comic book because I want to make comic books. If you want to make video games, make a video game. You have to make something for people to see whatever it is that you want to do. If you want to do podcasts or videos or whatever, just do them. Like, just make them. And then it'll start building. Yeah. And then networking. Yeah. And that's, but that's a lot of it too. Just being at cons, and even me being picked up by KeenSpot. It wasn't me. I did not pitch Ninjas and Robots to KeenSpot. Some of the guys that work at KeenSpot saw it and were like, oh, you know what? This might be cool. And so they pitched it on my behalf. And then I started talking to the company, and they were like, all right, let's do this thing. And I was like, all right. Cool.
Yeah, but that all led from you being active. You have your Instagram, you have, I think, Facebook too. I mostly follow you on Instagram because you do the videos of your artwork. Yeah. And it's how difficult is it to self-market? Or do you think because of the social medias that we have, it's easy to self-market?
I think it's a lot easier to self-market than what it used to be. But what you got to keep in mind is the system is super saturated. So then with algorithms and everything else, you really have to work at not only being consistent, but you have to work at kind of communicating with people. When they comment on your posts, comment back, and not even just that. And it can't be all self-promotion. Like, sometimes you have to go to other people just because you like their stuff. So you need to like, and you need to comment, not, hey, come look at my page. Hey, look at my stuff. But be genuine with people and tell them if you like their stuff, let them know. Like, everybody wants to hear that. Everyone wants to hear that, their work is reaching someone and that people are enjoying it. Like, it's not a bad thing. And that's kind of how your world grows. You know what I mean? It's not super self-centered, all about me. You do what you do, but you have to be aware of other people. Even though I'm a
Correct.
comic book
Yeah.
artist, I'm still a fan, and I still buy comic books, and I buy art books, and I buy sketchbooks. And if there's an artist that I like, or that has given me time or attention, or drawn a variant cover for me or whatever, like, I try to support them when and however I can, because we're all in this together. Like, the comics
Yes.
community is really very small, and everybody kind of knows everybody. So you kind of got to be cool with people, and you got to look after other people's interests, not just your own. In doing that, you're going to grow up. So
Yeah, and that led you to a cover of Ninja Turtles.
Oh, yeah. I know, that was super cool.
Yeah, so can you tell us a little bit about how that came about?
So I was just kind of doing Ninjas and Robots and kind of doing my own thing. And some of the guys at one of our local comic book shops, the Dragon's Lair, decided they wanted to do a Ninja Turtles variant. And they wanted to do one for number 100, which was like a super double issue and super cool. And so they approached me and they were like, hey, do you want to do a variant cover for Ninja Turtles? And like, I grew up with Ninja Turtles. Like, Ninja Turtles is why I wanted to draw comic books. So I was like, yes, I do. and it was really cool. Like, it's a super cool experience. I just can't say enough about those guys in that shop. Hey, there's that cover. Those guys in that shop, and it was really neat. Just even though it was retailer exclusive, which means it wasn't available in all shops, it was only available in their shop. But because they believed in me enough to take that and to do that and put that in their own shop, it's just been like a huge thing. And I feel like that has opened a lot of doors too. Because then you're not just self-published at that point. You're actually a published cover artist, and so it's different. Like, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I remember when you were in the process of doing it. We had met up at a convention, and you had told Zach about it, and he was just like, shut up, for real? And he was like, yeah, for real. And he was like, I think he was more excited than you were.
Yeah,
because he's a huge Ninja Turtle fan. So when you told us, I remember he was like, hey, guess what? I'm doing a variant cover for Ninja Turtles 100, and Zach was like, his head exploded right then and there. It was definitely, and then when we saw it, he was just like, it's just as beautiful as I thought it was gonna be. And I'm like, are you gonna be all right over there? And he was just like, yeah, it's just awesome.
That was one of those things too. It's like, you don't believe it until you actually see it, until it actually is there in front of you. It's like, okay. But it was definitely cool, like emailing back and forth with IDW and them saying yes to this or no to that, and you're like passing it back and forth. What do you think? And it's pretty cool.
Was that your first time working with a company like that?
Yes.
Did you learn a lot from that experience?
I did. Well, not a lot, but I mean, it was useful and it was good, and it was great to be kind of just in communication with them. Those are the big boys, and that's the good stuff. And not that, what we're doing isn't big or good or anything like that. But for me at that time, like, I had only self-published anything. Like, because no one was like, hey, come make comics for us. And when I showed them my comic, they were like, yeah, this is cool, but we don't know what to do with that. Then I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to do everything myself. I'm just going to self-publish. And so then when you actually get to someone that this is their publishing itself is their livelihood, especially on a large international scale like that, it's definitely different. It's pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, Keen Spot's been amazing, and I've talked to other publishers, not just IDW. Like, I've dealt with other publishers and talked about the potential of getting Ninjas and Robots out there. and a lot of things just kind of fell through and people didn't follow through, and they weren't all great experiences, but then working with Keen Spot has been amazing, and they're just the coolest guys and super easy to talk to, super easy to work with.
That's good.
Yeah. So
That's
it's been really, really positive.
Well, let's give some shout outs real quick. We've got, can you pronounce her last name? Katie's last name, your colorist?
Katie Amaker. Amaker.
I was always so hooked on phonics.
I know they're hard. You can just call her Katie. It's okay.
Katie, she's your colorist, correct?
Yep. Katie has done most, if not all, the coloring on Ninjas and Robots. We met her at one of our first comic book conventions up in New Jersey, and that was years ago. And she's got a really cool style that I think really complements some of my ink work. So
I think it does. I think it definitely does, because the vibrant colors that she uses definitely pops, and it doesn't muddy other characters. Like, you can distinguish one from another, and it's not muddied. I don't know if you know what I mean. Like, sometimes you get scenes that everything meshes together, and it's like, where's the branch of the tree, and where's the, what's the differentiations? So I like that she uses these colors that separates everything, and your artwork does shine with that. And then, of course, let's give a shout out to the wife, the supporter, the real heroine.
She is, yeah, and I think I thank her in the one of the first pages of that. Katie is, back to Katie real quick. She's definitely an artist, and I think that makes a difference. Like, she's not just a colorist; she draws on her own and worked on her own comic when I met her. And I think because she draws and because I draw, like, her coloring is almost like drawing, and it so it helps. And so, like, sometimes some things are drawn only in color that, in the background or whatever, and they weren't there in the illustration, but she put it in, and it just gave it so much depth.
Oh, so that makes sense.
Yeah, okay. So because she's an actual drawer, an actual artist, and not just someone that's putting colors here and trying to she doesn't just figure out what my lines are, because my lines are crazy and I don't connect them a lot of times. Like, she will draw things and paint things with color, and it just, like, it's perfect. It's perfect.
Makes sense. Now it makes sense, because I'm like, it definitely doesn't, it doesn't look muddied. It doesn't look confusing. Like, I can definitely, especially when there's more than one person on there, and I'm weird like that. I notice things like that, because once it gets too muddied, I'm like, I don't know what's happening. I don't want to read this anymore. And, like, I throw it to the side. It's terrible, but true. And you did do a one in this one too as well.
Oh, nice.
Look, 2018. Dang.
Wow.
I know. Feels like a lifetime ago.
Well, so I actually released that graphic novel on January 1st, 2018. Like, that's when it came out. So yeah, it's been crazy.
Cool. You said you prefer Instagram, so tell everybody where they can find you on Instagram.
Yep, at Interstate Ninja is my Instagram, and I put most things on there because it's more art focused and more drawing and video. Like, I just do more stuff on there. A lot of times on Facebook and stuff, there's a lot of other stuff that's not art. So, and I don't know, I don't have that much time, so it's like, if I want to look at something, I only have a few minutes. I just want to look at people's drawings and paintings, and I guess. So I don't want to read a bunch of stuff. Just looking at pictures, man. That's all.
That's amazing. Well, Erik, thank you so much for taking time to talk to me and to tell everybody about Ninjas and Robots. I'm a fan. Zach's a fan. And hopefully we'll get more fans on this, because it's definitely a great story. It's great artwork, and I appreciate you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for talking to me this time. I appreciate it.
It's because I have liquor in my system. It's fine.
Okay. We'll have to make it a regular thing, even if we gotta go get drinks, so we can go talk about stuff. Cool.
As always, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. Go follow Erik. Go get yourself a copy of Ninjas and Robots. I swear to you, you will not regret it. But you already know I don't promote things I don't like. I promote things I love, and I love ninjas and robots. So definitely go check them out. As always, like, share, and subscribe with us as well. And we'll see you guys next Wednesday. Bye, everyone.
Done? Is that it? Yeah. Nice. Good job, team.